Hey everybody, how's it going guys? More Heroes of the Storm on the channel here, and today we have a best of 3 series between Huron team and Kappa. Both of the teams should by now be familiar with you, at least if you checked out the last few videos that I uploaded to the channel. We are currently in the winners match of Group C at the TopAchat tournament, the French organization, which of course also means once again that I'm casting off a clean feed and not in the client myself. So the observation is going to be done by Karma, and he did in the past an awesome job with that, so big shout out to him. In our first game on Dragonshy, we have already a guy that we haven't seen in a long time. Nezebo, the Witch Doctor, is making a reappearance, and he's being played on the side of Kappa, who are also running Tyrande together with Muradin. And we all know that this sniper comp is of course extremely good for the early game, for the roaming process on the map, where you can just like go stun into stun against the target and burst them down with extra damage. Huron team, on the other hand, they really like to play their double tanks, and this is once again the case in this game. With an Anubarak and also Johanna here, Sylvana is going to help out with the pushing power, and I'm pretty curious who's going to take the lead here. The winners match, of course, it means that whoever takes the best of 3 series will advance to the round of 8 that is going to be played pretty soon. But yeah guys, this is going to start our series of a match on Dragonshy, so let's get right to it. Alright, welcome everybody to the first game on Dragonshy here at the TopAchat tournament. Kappa versus Huron. To the left side we have Kappa with Escape on Muradin, Holo on Tyrande, Alistair on Jaina, Cypher playing Nezebo today, and Conti is on Malfurion. To the right side of the map it is the Spanish team with Redex on Anubarak, Vipelino on Johanna, we're having Shed on Sylvanas, Hiruke on Vala. As you can see, Rave is playing Rega here. This is going to be a lot of fun, boys and girls, and I hope that you are going to enjoy this as well. It's the winners match in Group C of the TopAchat tournament, and in this case in particular, the winner of course is going to advance to the next stage of the tournament, which will be a round of 8. Yeah, so let's check this out. Already a bit of wraparound down into the bottom. They have been found out though, nobody dying just yet, but we have a few adjustments when it comes to builds already, and that's quite interesting. First of all, Malfurion of course going for the extra damage against minions and mercenaries on level 1. He lost Conjurer's Pursuit in the last patch, and that's one of those things that players are currently trying to make up for. This Escape is already in the middle of things with his Muradin, and Shed is near. Whoa, Shed might actually die. Shed is dying. Sypho is taking him out. Nezebo is already being a nuisance here. And Nezebo, I mean, I find it awesome that we see him a little bit more often these days. Oh, another kill. Look at that. They are opening up this game with a bang. Kappa is taking it out with a 2-0. Very well done here. Well, 2-0 in kill so far, at least that is. But yeah, we're having on level 1 the dagger on Sylvanas, which is going to reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds, and that's a pretty interesting level 1 talent. We see that actually a lot more often these days, and that usually means that on level 16 you want to go for the Cold Embrace. And with the changes that happened in the last patch to Blood for Blood, we see that a lot, or like happening a lot, and that is also why the level 1 talent is being changed from the extra range on your Q into the reduction in the cooldown. Another good kill against Johanna, and that is exactly what the composition that we are seeing for Kappa in this game is supposed to do. If you're running a Muradin together with Tyrande, then you always want to roam the map and get your kills in. Stun into stun, apply that Hunter's Mark talent, Ranger's Mark talent actually on level 1 even, and then get those kills in. And that's of course where especially Jaina helps a lot as well. And what we also have in this case is with the Nezebo a lot of continuous damage coming out there too. If you look at the talents in general, we have now an Anubarak also Regeneration Master, and Regeneration Master is actually pretty sick. The talent is by now absolutely amazing. I'm loving it. If you're running it together with Amplified Healing on level 4, you can do so for example on Johanna, even though Knight takes spawn on level 1 is also in this case oftentimes the preferred choice. But if you run those two talents together, you can have insane healing per second, like 120 to 150 healing per second in the late game is definitely something that is quite possible and not out of the norm. So yeah, that's something that can happen here. I think the changes to Regeneration Master. Oh, another attempted kill, and look at that. Johanna's trying to get away, but she might die. Oh my god, just barely survives here. But as I was about to say, when we also had Kappa trying to capture the first dragon, is that in this case now in particular, we're having Regeneration Master. I think the old one and the new one, they are about even. They break even on 24 or 26 globes, and afterwards the new Regeneration Master, where you get a flat out bonus for every single globe that you pick up, is much better. So yeah, after usually it's around 7 to 8 minutes. That's when you get the globes together if you really focus in it, and then you will have a much better regeneration than you had in the old Regeneration Master. For now, the level 4 talents of course have spawned as well, and this is where we have like even more adjustments. I'm loving patches. Patches are awesome because we see those little things that change, and to a lot of people that might not be transparent right away, but that's why you have me, so I'm gonna go through that with you real quick. First of all, we're having in this case on the Zebo now the spiders, and they're just so annoying, aren't they? The spider talents, usually the ones on level 4 and also then later on level 13, 16 you can take additional ones, are pretty damn strong. We're having Fury even going into the heal now on level 4, which actually just increases the initial heal that you have on your heroes, well, on the Enduring Growth, and that is pretty damn good. I mean, like, the initial heal is pretty nice. There are a couple of other things that you can go for here. In this case now we're having Cleanse taken on level 7, which is already helping quite a lot against the talents that we're having from the opponent here, especially against the stuns. You can also go for the prolonged Enduring Growth, which is absolute, well, Enduring Growth in general, which is absolutely great. Later on level 13, the Life Seed talent can even improve your healing numbers further if you do not take Ice Block, which is another great talent to take here. But you can already see in the case of Anubarak how the adjustments work here. On level 1 Regeneration Master, and then still following the Beetle build. Sylvanas even on level 4 not taking Envenom, just because the Envenom duration got doubled, but still does the same amount of damage, only now it takes twice as long. So a lot of players go on level 4 for other talents and don't take Envenom. In this case, it's just the 2 seconds on the Black Arrow, the trait of Sylvanas, instead of only 1 second, which is pretty cool if you're like trying to apply the damage with Unstable Poison on level 7, which is exactly what we're seeing here. We have a bit of a hybrid build, a full damage build on Vala. Oh, and another attempted stun, and Vipellino just barely getting away. So far, it's in the early game really Kappa that is applying the pressure with 3 kills against 0, but we still have their opponents. We have Huron team roughly on the same experience. Even though they're under a lot of pressure and they're starting to lose now structures as well, they're doing quite well with soaking the lanes, but they have to be careful. Falling behind in the early game is not really a big deal, as long as they don't fall behind by like 2 levels or anything like that, but they still have to make an effort to stay close to their opponents. I was talking about Vala though, and Vala is currently heading on level 1 into the range and multi-shot, and into on level 4 the range and the extra attack on the arrow, and on level 7 then into the repeating arrow. So this is basically a full damage Vala. You can't get more damage out of a Vala than with this and stay at a safer distance at the same time to do so. So on level 1 oftentimes you will see Vala players that go into the life leech that we have on the arrow, and that is what we are calling the arrow build or a Q build in general. But with that adjustment that we're having now on level 1, you can stay at a very long range, because the level 4 talent doesn't only give you an extra hit with the arrow, but it also gives you extra range on the arrow. And then of course with level 7 mostly we're seeing searing attacks, but especially with an arrow build you want to go into the repeating arrow, so after a vault you just can use a second arrow, and that is a maximum damage build that you get out of her. Rhaegar these days is on level 4 still going for the Feral Heart, even though it got changed a bit from the last patch. Instead of getting double the hit point regeneration and the mana regeneration, in wolf form you now get 75 extra %, which is still pretty damn good and most players go for it. Level 7 Cleanse, you can take that, you don't have to. The alternative that you have on this level is going into the added shield, so that the lightning shield actually applies a shield as well that your opponent has to go through. But Cleanse is pretty darn strong, especially when you're up against an opponent that is trying to apply the Hunter's Mark, or just like aiming or to take you down with a lot of stuns. Conti on Malfurion has to be careful, is already moving away here. We're having the heroic abilities now into play. Gary the Gargantuan, of course, on the side of Nazebo. Tranquility is being used here. We're having Starfall, Avatar, and also Water Elemental on the side of Kappa. And to the right side for the Spanish team, it's Web Blast together with a Blessed Shield, the Captain America build. We're having also Deafening Arrow, the Wailing Arrow. We're having a Rain of Vengeance and an Ancestral Healing here as well. Once again, while we're going through all of this, keep in mind guys that I'm actually casting from a clean feed here, so I cannot really control the map or the observing on my own. We're relying on the French here. Big shout out to Karma who's making this possible right now, so thank you very much guys for doing that. Down to the bot lane now that we have both shrines again taken by the Spanish team. It looks like we might see an attempted kill right there, and it looks like it might get surrender. Here comes Hiruka with another vault, hits the arrow, takes her down. First kill on the side of Huron team. Very well done, so good job, and now they might be able to get that first DK of the game, and they're already in the mid lane. We have a Web Blast that Red X has been using. Good job, just to make sure that they're definitely going to get this dragon, and they are. And even though they were lacking behind in kills in the early game and really pressured by Kappa, they are now the ones with the Dragonite moving in, trying to destroy the structures here at the wall. And in experience, they're definitely starting to close the gap. So this is looking pretty damn good for them right now. We have in this case at the bot lane a tri-lane still for the Spanish team trying to move in. The Dragonite is rotating from the mid to the top, and he will just draw a lot of the attention of the opponent and therefore allow the players at the bot lane to execute more pressure towards the wall, try to take both of the towers down, gain additional experience. It's still an early Dragonite that we are using here. They scale over time, but in the early game it's more of a distraction. Escape jumps in, good stun, immediately the trade being used, but Johanna is a bit too late on this one and is being sniped. In the mid lane, at least we're having a bit more pressure. Shat is going through the entire wall, takes down the gate now as well. And up at the top lane, we're still seeing a Nuborak. And keep in mind that he, with the regeneration master that he took on level 1, is going to be much more tanky in the late game there. But the bot lane is being pressured. There's 5 players right now. They're trying to go for this one. The problem is that they're leaving Sylvanas alone in the mid lane. And we all know that Sylvanas can easily just push a fort down and just like disable any kind of structure with her Black Arrow trade. Even going now on level 7 for the Black Arrow. Wow, for the trade. And in this case, what that does is that it also slows down your opponent's heroes. We see that a bit more often these days, but it's pretty interesting to see it here. With the heroes that we are having on the side of Kappa, I would have expected Sylvanas to go into a spell shield. The same talents that are being taken now by Anubarak and also Johanna, just because the new spell shield is even stronger than it was in the last patch. And if you're having not only a Tyrande but also Nazebo Jaina against you, it kind of makes sense for the team fights to really have that spell shield available. But apparently Sylvanas is banking her hopes on Reyna in this, or not Reyna, but Rhaegar of course in this case. And Vala going in this case also. First of all, like, we have 2 really interesting talents here on the side of Vala and Rhaegar, but let's focus on Vala first. Vala going in this case for Frost Shot, which I personally like. I would have expected a spell shield to be taken here, but if you run Composite Arrow, it's not only for the safety of staying at a greater distance, but also, of course, if you get the Frost Shot on level 13, you get more control in the fights, and you really can stop the onslaught from especially the melee heroes on your opponent's team, or chase down a target if you already won the team fight and try to pick up the strays here. In this case, Vala is doing exactly that, and that's pretty cool. So it's a long distance max damage Vala hybrid build that we're seeing here. I like it, it's fun, it's pretty cool to see that. Rhaegar is going for Pharaoh Lunge. I personally find that a bit weird, just because I think that right now on level 13 and 16, if you go for your Chainwave talents, you have amazing healing power for the rest of the team fights, especially with the 16 talent, where you reduce the cooldown on Chainwave by 3 seconds every time you hit more than 2 heroes, or 3 or more. It is amazing. Like, you can spam that out in team fights over and over again, and the amount of heal that you get out in those important late game fights is absolutely incredible. We could still see Rhaegar go for this, but with the Feral Lunge you are trying to add a bit more damage, and if you go on 13 also for the wave, then you can get a bit more healing. Oh, good fight here right away. Nice Ice Block being used here, but maybe even a bit too late, and it looks... No, Alistair is actually getting away on his Jaina here, but he's being attacked by Beetle still. Conti moves in with the Tranquility, keeping everybody alive. The Gargantuan is trying to follow up with another potential kill here, but it's not happening just yet. 4 kills against 1, nearly level 16 now, where the next talent is going to hit for both of the teams. Overflowing Light, of course, on 13 on Tyrande. They're trying to go straight for another Dragonite. That multi-shot was a bit too late, and also it did, of course, not hit. Not enough range for this one, and therefore we have on the side of Alistair and his boys the first Dragonite for them. It is Kappa team. They get the Dragonite. They're trying to drop another fort. So far, they only dropped 1 in the bot lane. The improved Ice Block on Jaina saved her ass already earlier. We have Nazebo with Sprint taken level 13, and Malfurion didn't bother with Spell Shield, but with Ice Block, but immediately went for his Life Seed, and also has now Hardened Focus. The spiders again on 13 are going to make them so annoying. Those leaping spiders are just a nuisance, and that's exactly what they're using right now. They have the level 16 talent earlier. They have that talent and can now try and use it, but of course at the same time it's now also dropping for their opponents. The Spanish team lost an Uberak on the other hand already. Even with the Spill Shield, it didn't do anything for him. Vala now going for Executioner on level 16, doesn't bother with anything like Blood for Blood, just goes straight for the damage here, which I really like. Fanatism taking on Johanna, and we're seeing, of course, the Cold Embrace on Sylvanas. We've been talking about this at the beginning of the game. If you go for the level 1 reduction by 2 seconds on the cooldown of your arrow, then you want to use, or your Shadow Dagger, you want to use that on level 16 as well, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. It's still the tidal wave that we're having on level 16 for Rhaegar, so this is exactly the cooldown reduction that we've been talking about. With this, I personally really prefer to switch to level 13 talent out. I don't think that with a combination like that you necessarily need to go for the extra damage on the Feral Lunge. Then again, looking at the talents, we do not have a Burning Rage on either one of the tanks, which would supply a bit of extra damage. So they don't have too much here. Even Johanna did not go for the Blast Hammer on level 16, which we oftentimes see to give her a bit more damage, but a nice burst here against Muradin. And this is of course one of the things that you can really do when you're having Sylvanas with level 16. You can use that Cold Embrace to really apply the extra damage and take them out, which is exactly what they just did. And of course, if you have all that slow in those disables on your opponent, then especially Vala is going to do even more damage. 40% additional damage. That's quite a bit, let me tell you that. And yeah, that's extremely strong. Fanatism once again shown by our observer here. Big shout out to Karma again. We're also seeing now on the side of Tyrande the True Shot aura, and Muradin with his stone form that he's using here is in a very good position to just like negate damage. Like Muradin eats damage like no other hero in the game, I want to say. Maybe only rivaled by Johanna, especially with her trade. She's very strong here. But you can see how the game is still extremely even. 5 kills against 2, level 17 versus 17, and both of the teams are really just aiming for the map control. But it's very difficult to get that for the two of them. Every single time you see those fights happening, every single time one hero strays on the map, immediately it gets pounced upon and then taken out. And of course those death timers, they are just going to increase up to level 20, where they will stay the same. 70 seconds, that's what you're basically down for. And right now we have the shrines active on the map again, so the objective is up. We could see another Dragonite, and 15 minutes in, these bad boys are starting to hurt. Top lane taken by the red team, and down to the bot lane, Kappa already captured the first shrine here. So let's see how exactly that's going to work out for them right now. Level 20 talents are the next milestone for both of the teams, the final talent that you can get for your hero, and that's of course what they're currently aiming for. But we still have the 5 teams, or the 2 teams roaming as 5 throughout lanes, and setup is everything right now. If Malfurion, for example, goes down early, he's a bit of a weak point in the composition now, since he doesn't have any kind of escape. He also doesn't have any kind of safety mechanism, as on 13 he didn't go for Ice Block. The problem is getting to Malfurion, and with the heroes that we are seeing here, it's very difficult to do that, so they will have to go through the front probably, and Malfurion will activate Tranquility once that the team fight starts, and that's a great talent to have here. Rhaegar with the Ancestral Healings can pinpoint just like a target that is getting sniped by the opponent and heal it up to nearly full health once again, which is going to be exactly his job. And for Radix, it is important to just dive in, get that Web Blast off, and isolate one of the heroes in the opponent's team. That could in this case actually be Malfurion. I mean, if you get Malfurion out here, then you know that they don't have heal, and that's usually the time when you want to go in. Nice rotation from Kappa, by the way. I'm really liking this. They're rotating to the top, taking the shrine, but they go straight for the fort now. But in the mid lane, we're seeing their opponents going through the wall, threatening keep. You can't lose that last structure on the lane. If you do, your opponent is going to spawn catapults with every single wave of minions, and that is something that the opponent knows, of course, as well. But they're not being back. They're actually starting to move in here. And here comes the stun, and also the wall of zombies. Unstoppable already being used. The trade is in. Nice move away here from Vala. Gets healed with an ancestry lead in the last second. Good snipe against Jaina. Really well done here, but they're still under the influence of the Starfall here. And boom! Just like that, both of the tanks are gone. The Web Blast was too late, and now the Escape is trying on Muradin to move in and clean house. Stops short though and goes straight for the shrine. They're trying to take a Dragonite, and at the top lane there is nobody to capture this one out. What started as a good fight for Huron team now suddenly turns in favor of Kappa. They get that Dragonite and they barrel down the mid lane. They are trying to take keep now. We still have 2 of the damage dealers available for Huron team though to maybe work against that, but it's not going to be easy. Both of the teams are closing in on level 20 right now. Sypho with the Breath of Fire starting things things off here, and look at that damage that he does with the Dragon Knight. 880 per hit against structures. That extra damage against structures, really, really strong, and this keep is definitely going to fall. They won't be able to go for core here, but they are in a very advantageous situation. They have level 20. We have 2 Bolt of the Storms, 2 Blinks. We are seeing on Muradin no Hardened Shield, but instead it is actually Rewind. So you can really start throwing to use those additional Thunderclaps and also the hammers. Those Storm Bolts are going to hit pretty hard. A triple Bolt of the Storm even incoming here. And we're having a Storm Shield on Tyrande, which is going to help with the survivability in those team fights. Let's see what we're having as talents on Huron team. Huron team already going for the Indestructible, the trade on Johanna. I'm liking it. So she gains a powerful shield. Once that she takes fatal damage, she can get healed up again. Rhaegar is going for the heal, not for the rewind, which we see a bit more often these days thanks to the healing talents that he claimed. And attack against once more Anubarak. He should have a fair amount of regeneration master stacks already, considering that we're 18 minutes into the game and have pretty solid regeneration here. They're trying to move in. Root against Johanna, but are they going to try and follow this up? It looks very much like it. Rafe is trying to get past Vipolino here. Here comes the Condemn. They're slowing down Escape, and that wall of zombies didn't do anything. Web Blast being used. They're committing to the fight. Hiruka from the backline is firing arrow after arrow and going for the multi-shot as well, but now it's just a turnaround since we have Gary in play. Gary the Gunshot driving them back. Tranquility popped as well. There's no reason for the Spanish team to fight. They're trying to burn. Oh my god, the damage against Anubarak just taken down within a second. Too much damage applied and all those stuns as well. They're trying to turn it around with a railing arrow and using that keep to their advantage, but we have Kappa team already moving straight back and waiting for an opportunity to move in again to drop that second keep of the game. The first one is already down. That Leon is being pressured continuously by those minion waves. 8 kills against 3 so far in the game. And here we have them again. The Escape and Cypher all the way up at the front. Again with the wall of zombies trying to drain some of the ammunition. Condemn being used and the shield glare right afterwards. But they're sieging up the position here. And that, well, that heap is running out of ammunition very soon. And it will probably not even make it to that point because it's already getting dropped. Nice Rain of Vengeance here though. They're moving forward, moving into the opponent. Vipolino is about to die here. He already procced his shield and down he goes. The same true for Vala. It is another double kill and this is bad news on the side of the Huron team. Kappa is moving in. They're trying to go for core right now. The tanks are going to revive in just a bit, and there is Anubarak. The Beetle is back, but it's a kill against Sylvanas that is already sealing the fate of the Spanish team. Game number 1 is not looking good for them. Web Blast being used to buy some time, but immediately being attacked. And now, of course, the core is already dropping the shield here. Another Starfall being used. Red X moves back in the last second. He's probably going to survive here, but I don't think it is going to matter. No, it will not. This is game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. The GG well played, already called by the Escape here. The core is down in the first game here in Dragonshire. Is won by Kappa team against their opponents. Congratulations, a well-deserved win, and let's go into game number 2 of the series.
Kappa takes the first game. They have the lead in the best of 3 series now, and all they need is one more map to take this best of 3 and advance to the round of 8. Huron team, on the other hand, they are playing now on one of their most favorite maps, and that is Tomb of the Spider Queen. And you all can, of course, imagine what that means. We have an Azmodan in the game. And not only that, we actually see the Azmodan team running, of course, with Johanna for the stacking process, but also as a healer, we have a Lily. A bit surprising, but Lily definitely got stronger in the patch, and there was a lot of pressure on the healers by Kappa. First of all, we had a double healer picked by them, and they also banned one out. And the double healer approach, I actually like that a lot going up against an Azmodan. You need to imagine how much damage Azmodan does in the late game, and if you have 2 healers that can do also some kind of like area heal, like in this case, for example, Malfurion and Rhaegar together, especially with Rhaegar now having the tidal wave ability on level 16, you can get a lot of healing power out there and really mitigate that damage. So a pretty cool approach by Kappa. If it's enough, on the other hand, to really take down the Azmodan composition that we are seeing now on this map, that's a completely different question. We're going to answer that right now on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So guys, let's jump right into map number 2.
Welcome everybody to game number 2 in the series here, the TopAchat tournament between Kappa and Huron team. To the left side, Jaina, played by Alastor, Kel'Thas by Holo, Siphon Malfurion, Conti on Rega and Escape on Tyrael. For the Kappa team into the right side of the map, it is Wraith on Lily. We're having Vippolino playing Johanna here, Hiruko on Vala, Shat on Tazda, and Red X on Asmodan. So once again, it's all about the dunks on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's about Johanna going for Knight Takes Pawn on level 1, getting those condemns in to help Asmodan out. Tazda with the area damage, just trying to prepare those creep waves so that Asmodan can stack up with Taste for Blood the extra damage. And of course, another thing that's going to be pretty important here is that, well, the team to the left, the team in blue here, is going to try and screw with that. And what could you do to screw with the stacking process? Exactly, you're trying to heal and shield the minions that he is trying to kill. And that is where Tyrael comes into play. That is also where we're going to see Rega with the chain wave doing some work. And there's already the attempt to do exactly that, but the shield being used. And the more that you actually screw the Asmodan in the early game, the better it is in the later stages. Because Asmodan relies a lot on the early game. Once that you have a couple of stacks going for your hero, you can just simply roam through the map alone. Later with a black pool, you just need a single ball to clear an entire wave, even without help. So the more that you screw with him in the early game, the more difficult it is for Asmodan to really get any traction in the match itself. They're already pushing down at the bot lane, and we are seeing with Alistar on Hole a lot of pushing power here. So Vippolino, Shad and Red X are trying to roam between mid and top lane. The thing is that with the Taste for Blood talent, it's not that you actually have to you don't have to deliver the last hit. You don't have to do that. You just have to hit that globe or that orb, and then up to like, I think it's like 0.5 seconds afterwards, anything that kills those minions will contribute to your stacks. And that's exactly what we have to watch out for during these. So yeah, let's see how exactly that's going to work out here. Once again in the mid lane, we're seeing Asmodan doing exactly that, and it's already as assumed. There's rotation between the mid lane and the top lane. Red X is moving in again. Did you, by the way, ever notice how Asmodan looks so happy when he's just like sitting on that carpet and he spreads his arms out and he's like, wee, wee? That's exactly what we just saw there. Always feels like he's one of those childs on a, like, I don't know, it just looks funny. So they're trying to go for exactly the stacking process that as I described, but at the bot lane we are seeing a lot of pressure coming in with the two damage dealers. It's a Song of Ice and Fire that is being played by Kappa team with the Jaina and the Khaldors in the game, but Red X is nearly undisturbed going for a stacking process here, so they're not even trying to and counter that and screw with him early on, even though they have the heroes for it. They will use, of course, those shields and all that heal that they have for the double healer composition later to try and mitigate the damage that Asmodan is going to deal out. The one thing that you really have to remember is that we are in a situation where Asmodan can only use one orb every 10 seconds. So plenty of time for Rega and Malfurion to get those heals out. At the early game, also important for the teams to really get their gems turned in, and that's what the red team does. As the red team, as the Huron team, you really want to be very active in the early stages of the game. You want to make sure that you get as much traction as you can, that you don't fall too much behind. And if you make that happen just somehow, if you don't fall too far behind, if you don't lose a keep, then you are still good. You can lose a couple of forts, there's no problem with that. You know that Asmodan is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger as the game progresses, and that's exactly what you're banking your hopes on. And right now he already is at nearly 100 stacks 3 minutes in, which is solid. But let's talk a bit about the talents that we're seeing. I mentioned in the last game already the combination of Regeneration Master and Amplified Healing, and believe me, this Tyrael is going to be a monster in the late game. On this map in particular, you can get so many Regeneration Master stacks, because you can just like simply jump from one lane to another and always get that globe. That's all that you have to do. Once more, Malfurion is going for the added heal, or the added initial heal on level 4, and we're having him with the extra damage against minions and mercenaries. This time it's a Colossal Totem on Rega, which is absolutely cool. Like, that totem is so damn good, and you can even combine it with a level 60 talent if you want to have the extra control. And think about what happens here in this case when we're having a Flame Strike and a Blizzard. You drop that totem in the middle of your opponent's setup, and then immediately you try and also basically you try to do it simultaneously. Totem plus Flame Strike plus Blizzard, and that is a lot of ouch. So that's exactly what you're trying to go for. We're having, for Lily, Conjurer's Pursuit on level 1, and going for the Blinding Wind talent on level 4, whereas, yeah, in this case, we're having, again, Johanna for, of course, Knight Takes Pawn on 1, and then going straight into Laws of Hope. Personally, I prefer the Amplified Healing, I think, on this map in particular, but still, Laws of Hope is very strong. It depends very much on which team you're, or like what your team consists of, but like different players have different preference on the level 4 talent, and Vala is going for that damage build that we saw in the last game. Here comes another quick globe and just look at that. The Orbs of Annihilation starting to do damage. Mental Acuity for Tassadar level 4 is by now a pretty standard talent to take, just because it's so convenient to know what's in the smoke screens up there. Asmodan by now at 160 stacks already, so he is really starting to get a lot of numbers in. We're having for Lily Shake It Off. And by the way, Lily is at the beginning of the match now with those changes that we had in the last patch, the Daze mechanic and also the changes to Blinding Wind. She's good. Oh, the kill! Yes, they get the kill against Asmodan. Asmodan get Asmo wrecked, and we're having also Johanna getting taken out here. So that's a lot of momentum all of a sudden that we're seeing for Kappa, and that's exactly what they need in the early game. We've been talking about this. They are making it happen. Enduring Growth has been chosen on Malfurion. But as I was about to say, like, Shake It Off and talking about Lily in general, like, she's a lot better than she was in the past. But where Lily is really gonna start to be an absolute monster is once that she reaches level 20 and gets Kung Fu Hustle. The amount of skills and spells that you can throw out there, and also with the Shake It Off here, for example, is absolutely insane. The thing is, though, that level 20, of course, well, you need to get into the late game for that. Also, Kung Fu Hustle got a bit nerfed. It's not too much, but it's still a slight nerf, but it is still a very, 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 very good talent. Level 7 talents are already in the game, and you can really see that experience lead that we are seeing now for Kappa team. That's exactly what they need to get, and they know they have to. I like that they're destroying the walls here. You want to minimize vision, but Asmodan is still doing his thing. The Bellino moves in, uses Knight Takes Pawn on his Condemned to prepare the wave, and Asmodan, whee, again spreading his arms out, and it's fun. I like, in my mind, riding a carpet or Hearthstone card is a lot of fun. That's a ballsy move, by the way. Well, on one hand it's ballsy, on the other hand it's not so much, but level 10 versus level 8, I guess you can go for it. They have the heroic abilities with the Judgment, Water Elemental and Phoenix, and those are extremely strong. Red X with a nice globe, nice orb there. Here comes also the Phoenix, and they're forcing them back. Alistar is a bit split from the rest of the team and needs to be careful, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for Jaina, and they're going to get that boss, I assume. Yeah, Red X can throw another orb, but it's not going to do too much. He's rather going to try and stack even more damage, and that's a very good choice. The question with Asmodan is oftentimes, when do you start to attack heroes? Of course, you would like to do as much damage and really help your team, but in the early stages of the game, you should focus on taking down minions. But this boss is definitely a problem. It was a great move by Kappa. They realized, well, we need to get ahead in the early game. They already established the lead, and then when they hit level 10 so much faster, they just said, alright, let's go, boss. If they are, with the lineup that we have, with the Water Elemental, with the Phoenix for the zoning and everything else, we can make that happen. Good kill against Tassadar here as well, and Kappa is getting a lot of traction in the game, and that's exactly what you need to do against Asmodan, and I don't think that Huron is liking what they're seeing right now. If you have All Shall Burn on Asmodan, then of course you can take down those bosses pretty fast. But they need level 10, and Red X on his Asmodan gets Gravity Lapsed and taken down. Oh wow, this is not looking pretty for Huron. They have a lot of stacks on Asmodan already, but it's just not enough to really dominate those fights, especially when you're up against an opponent that is running a double healer lineup. We're having also the Web Weavers still doing work, and that's the second set that already moves in. Is it? Yeah, it should be. So yeah, 2-level lead, and they're starting to threaten the keeps here. They won't get a keep kill just yet, so it's not all over yet. This might look grim if you look at it, but keep in mind that the late game is going to belong to the opponent's team. Asmodan right now, the stacking process, he's only at 218, and they were in a really good position earlier. Nice hit there, but 8 minutes in, level 10, 218. It's okay, but it's not really too impressive. Right now we have a kill against Malfurion. That was an important one. Getting a bit of traction, closing that gap in experience, making sure that the opponent is going to lose some of their momentum. It is Blessed Shield that we're seeing on Johanna, going for the Captain America build here once again. We're having Archon, we have Blackpool of course, I mean Infernal Globe on 7, Blackpool on 10. It's just a must, and good hits here on Red X against the minions. That's what they're trying to go for, and they are doing exactly that. We have also at the same time now a Rain of Vengeance on the side of Vala, and again the Orb of Annihilation up at the top lane with a bit more damage. And Asmodan is going to get his moment. 4 more gems, that's all that they need, by the way. The red team needs to turn in 4 more gems, and if they do that, it's just, it doesn't really do anything in the terms of that they can take something down, but they will de-push their lanes, and they also will make sure that they are able to buy themselves some time, and that's all that they need, time. In the late game, it is going to be difficult for Kappa. It's not impossible, don't get me wrong. Like, you can still win against an Azmodan in the late game, but it is extremely difficult. With a double healer combination, on the other hand, you have very good tools in your arsenal to make it happen, especially when you're running Kelthas and also a Jaina. But the one thing that they have to focus on is that they also have some defensive measures, and that's where those level 13 talents come into play, where we're currently seeing an ice block. I'm a bit surprised that we see Malfurion not going for an ice block. Yes, the heal thanks to Life Seed is important and can really start to mitigate the damage dealt out by Azmodan, but it's tricky. I'm not really surprised about the spell shield that we're seeing on Rhaegar here. I could have seen a few more spell shields, to be honest with you. I mean, Tyrael in this case went for Burning Rage on level 13, so that's going to help him also with the pressure. Look at Red X doing the damage here. Like, he's really starting to get the DPS, and it's a 2-level lead that they still have, but Azmodan is going to get stronger, and he's at 316 stacks by now, so 200 missing until he hits max stats or max damage on his Azmodan, but he's already doing significant damage when it comes to his Orb of Annihilation together with a Black Pool. And they're trying to go exactly for that. Right over here, Shat and the rest of the team are trying to go for the poke, keeping the opponent at bay. And they haven't lost the keep yet, and that's the important part. As long as you don't lose a keep, you're still good. You're still in a decent position. It starts to snowball a bit more when you start losing keeps, just because those lanes are going to pressure against you so much harder. Again, a nice hit there. Doesn't really need his Black Pool anymore to get one of those hits, but we have another attempted turn-in by the opponents. Not quite the number that they need. They need 9 more gems, but they will get those very soon. And then we're going to see another Web Weaver release, and that's something that they should probably contest. The red team, that is. The Spanish team, Huron team. And they're turning in, and they're going to get this one. They are going to get the Web Weavers, and it's the first one for them, by the way. So, yep, the Web Weavers are descending. They're still 2 levels behind, but they have a level 13 talent now, with Lily still focusing on Blinding Wind here. We're also seeing Prescience taken. No Relentless, by the way. Relentless is a talent on Azmodan taken oftentimes by teams like Virtus Pro, but not here. Oh, Lily is in trouble. Well, actually, like, she's not in trouble anymore because now she's dead. So, Vala straight for the Spell Shield. I don't really mind that they go Spell Shield because, well, we still have Kelthas and Jaina on the opponent's team, so I would actually suggest that Johanna does exactly the same and uses her Spell Shield here too. Prescience is already a pretty passive talent take on Tassadar, and for good reason. We're also going to see Dimensional Warp here, I suppose. Johanna goes into Burning Rage. Alright, so more damage instead of staying a bit more safe. Azmodan should by now really start to also help out in these team fights. He has already 408 stacks, and that is enough to really participate in these battles. It's still a 2-level disadvantage that they have in the boss's take again, and this time they need to contest. They can't just let this slide. Nice! Oh my god, the damage! Did you see that? Wow! Full in the face! Alistar in particular. Jaina really got the full load right there. That orb hit home, and she was not happy at all. How much shit points were that? 60%, 50%, something along those lines. Even with the level 16 down, they couldn't do anything there. We have Colossal Totem, by the way, taken on level 1, and now it is the Earthgrass Totem on level 16. Not going for the full heal here, but instead it's really just trying to lock the opponent down so that you can place not only an Entangling Root, but also Blizzard plus Flame Strike. And with 16, we of course have Ignite. I mean, like, there's no question about that. The hardened focus on Malfurion is going to make it so much easier for him to hit his spells as well, just because that cooldown reduction is crazy good. And they are already pushing in the bot lane. Azmodan, that's really where they need you. You have to come through for the team now, and here we go. Gets the wave in, 1200 damage with that Black Pool, didn't hit a hero though. And now for another couple of seconds there is going to be a big cooldown, but X is going to use it again, and this time he hits Holo. But look at that damage mitigation thanks to the heals. Conti and Siphon, Rhaegar and Malfurion are immediately there, healing everybody, making that happen. There's another one, but this time it doesn't hit anything. Oh, we have a bit of a lag here, but thankfully only for a second, so yeah, no problem with that. Our clean feed here is back to business. That means that we can go straight into the next set. Where is that Azmodan? Come on, buddy. We need the Michael Jordan moves right now. We need those 3-pointers. Where are they? Azmodan, the Lord of the Dunks, and that was an airball right there. That didn't hit anything. Red X really needs to contribute the damage now. Bot lane Keep is still alive though, so it's still that two-level lead that we're seeing for Kappa. That's exactly the thing that they've been running with the entire game. Kappa team is doing so far a decent job. They're trying to go for the boss again. The problem is really that if you move into the throw pit here, you cluster up, and that's where Azmodan just says like, hey guys, how you doing? And how do you like my balls? And this is usually the end. Lily already cleansed out there. Here comes Azmodan, and another big hit. Oh my god! Jaina so low, but it's a kill against Vala, the ancestral healing, keeping Jaina alive, and Johanna and Vala are both down. Another big hit, but the keep falls regardless. Another victory on the side of Kappa team. They are in the lead in the best of 3 series here at the winners match at Group C of the TopAchat tournament, and Azmodan is just still doing his thing. He should have reached 500 stacks a long time ago, but with a 5 versus 3 situation, they're just like going to go for it. And no, he's not at 500 stacks, 486, so there's still a bit of wiggle room that he has there. So there we go again, and just look at this damage. This is crazy. This, by the way, is not even an early time for the 500 stacks, just to let you know. I mean, we're 15 minutes in, and it's a solid effort that they made, but in this map in particular, you can hit those even further. But of course, they've been pressured a lot, so Azmodan was forced to participate in a few of the team fights and had to neglect his stacking process quite a bit. Kappa team is playing a very solid match here, trying to force them back, but Azmodan is still giving his team hope. That's what currently happens here. Nice Phoenix though, good zoning. Boss coming in at the top lane. 2 of the keeps pressured, 1 down already, and only 1 remaining, and this one not for much longer. Down it goes, and this could be the beginning of the end. Right now a level 19 versus 16. Actually the bottom keep was still alive. Good hit against Kelthas, but those heals are just insane that we're seeing for the team. Way too much healing power here for Kappa. Archon moves in. They're trying to go straight in. Tassadar keeps himself alive. Good globe. Really nice orb. But an ancestral healing for Jaina keeps her in the game, and now all of a sudden they turn things around again. It's 7 kills against 1 at this point. Johanna is just running. Again, Red X slowed down by that totem. Where is that last globe? Can they hit another orb? No, they can't. Red X is able to escape here, but the keeps are all gone. And the kill against Vala is putting them in even worse situation than before. Right now, the 20 talent is just around the corner for Kappa team. They are in the lead, and looks very much like they will join the round of 8 with a victory here in game number 2 against Huron team. The Spanish team is in trouble, and they know it. Finally, we're having the level 20 talent, but of course it's a 4 level lead by now. Let's make that a 3.5, and it's a double blink. That's of course amazing if you want to dodge one of those orbs. And we also see a double storm shield here, with apparently Tyrael still being undecided. He goes for the Nexus Blades. Alright, so he wants to make sure that if he darts in with the judgment, that he can really stay close to the target and dish out a bit more damage with his auto attacks as well. He should have a pretty fair amount of regeneration master stacks now in this game too, and that of course helps to mitigate that damage. If you have like hit point regeneration for up to like 100 or 120 per second, you can really deal with this damage so much better. And they could turn in again. I mean, they have 13 additional gems, and they only need another, well, I guess like they need currently 19, but that should be absolutely doable. Just look at that mini-map, that control over the map that Kappa team has here. But we still have Red X trying to maybe get a good hit in and take somebody down, but that heal is just a bit too strong. The follow-up damage does not seem to be there. That is a big problem that we are seeing currently. Double heal is great against Azmodan if you get in a situation like this with such a massive lead. And of course the double storm shield is also mitigating a lot of the damage as well. Once you hit those, Azmodan just can start hitting you and you don't really care about it. Jumping in again, Lily is a great positioner, but that shake it off is amazing for her. Here comes the heal, keeping everybody alive at least for now, but Dubolino seems to be in a little bit of trouble, and it's Johanna moving back already, but getting gravity lapsed and taken out like trash by that flame strike. Hiruka with the last effort is going back to the Nexus and healing up here, but this is going to be game, and that's the GG already called. Azmodan dying at the end of the game just to make a statement here. A solid effort by Kappa team, really a great play by them. So they take the series with a 2-0 and they advance to the round of 8 of the tournament. Job well done, and Huron team is going to go to that consolation match right now. So congratulations to Kappa team, well played, and a solid effort here with a 2-0 in the winners match.
A job well done by Kappa. Very strong game by them, and they take this serious. They completely pressured the Asmodean composition from the start. At the beginning, you could really see that they were thinking about just screwing with the stacking process, but they decided against that and just started pushing and did very well with it. And Asmodean never really got the traction that he needs to become this menace in the late game. And very good game here by Kappa, of course. Huron team just a bit outmatched, at least in this series. The draft went very well for Kappa. The double healer approach was beautiful against the Asmodean composition that we saw here on the other side. So yeah, they take it with a 2-0. They advance to the round of 8. And of course, that also means that Huron team has to fight in another best of 3. They have to go to the Consolation match now and have to play over there against Alternate Fantasy to try and secure that second spot in the group going forward to fight again in the round of 8. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. Hope that you enjoyed the matches and the games here. And if you did, give the video a thumbs up on YouTube. You're of course always welcome to subscribe to the channel as well if you want to have more regular updates on the channel uploads. And thank you very much again for tuning in today. I'm going to see you guys soon with more content. Have a great day. Bye bye.